So you sent over this research paper on serious games,
Mm-hmm.
and it's in medical education. And I got to say, it really got me thinking, right?
Yeah.
We see all these games out there promising to teach us surgery or whatever,
Right.
but how do we know if they're actually effective
Right.
or just a glorified app?
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's exactly what these researchers, I think, wanted to unpack.
Yeah.
How can we tell if a game is really a serious game,
Right.
meaning it's got those solid learning chops,
Yeah.
not just flashy graphics?
And it's interesting you say that because that's one of the things that they really want to emphasize here. What's fascinating is the paper argues this isn't just semantics.
Okay.
It has real implications for you, the learner, and for the future of educational games.
Okay, let's unpack that. So why should we care if a game checks all the serious game boxes?
Think about it. How often have you downloaded an app promising to teach you a language or some cool skill,
Right.
but it was so dull you gave up after like a day or two? These researchers are trying to prevent that by setting a bar for what makes a game truly educational.
Makes sense. And I imagine from the research side, if everything gets lumped together as a serious game,
Yes.
it becomes impossible to figure out which approaches are actually working, right?
Precisely. Imagine trying to study the effectiveness of different workout routines, but just calling everything physical activity. You need those distinctions to see what's really making a difference.
So how did these researchers tackle this? They didn't just sit around debating the definition of fun, did they?
Not at all. They took a hands-on approach. They analyzed 3 real medical games to see if they measured up to their criteria.
Okay, hit me with the contenders. What games got put under the microscope?
We've got touch surgery,
Hmm.
which lets you practice surgical procedures virtually,
Okay.
a seemingly obvious choice.
Right.
Then there's Dr. Game Surgeon Trouble. And yes, the name is as quirky as the game itself.
Dr. Game Surgeon Trouble. Okay, I'm already intrigued. What's so unusual about that one?
Imagine this. You're performing a surgery simulation, but to keep your cool under pressure, you're also playing a match 3 puzzle game simultaneously.
What?
It sounds wild,
It does.
but it actually reflects the multitasking demands of surgery.
Wow, I would totally fold under that kind of pressure,
Right.
but I can see how that unexpected combo could lead to some serious learning.
Mm-hmm.
What about the third game?
The last contender was Staying Alive, a game focused on teaching CPR to both the general public and medical professionals.
Okay.
High stakes,
Yeah.
quick thinking, but does that automatically make it a serious game,
Right.
according to the researchers' criteria?
Okay, so we've got our lineup: virtual surgery, surgery puzzle hybrid, and high-pressure CPR training. How did the researchers even begin to define what makes a serious game in the first place?
So they broke it down into 3 core pillars,
Okay.
what they call clusters.
Okay.
And a game has to nail all of them
Okay.
to earn that serious game badge.
Okay, so it's like a 3-legged stool.
Right.
You kick one leg out,
Yeah.
and the whole thing collapses. What'd they land on?
First up is user experience,
Okay.
or UX as we know and love it. And it's deeper than just making the game look pretty. They dug into how the game feels to play.
Right.
Is it intuitive, responsive?
Mhm.
Does it guide you without feeling like a hand-holdy tutorial the entire time?
Right, because nobody wants to be fighting with the controls or getting lost in menus when they're trying to perform virtual brain surgery.
Right.
It's going to be smooth sailing on the technical side.
Exactly. Then comes the play cluster,
Okay.
which is where it gets really interesting
Okay.
because it begs the question,
Yeah.
does a serious game have to be fun?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'm all for making learning more engaging.
Mm-hmm.
But does something like learning, I don't know,
Right.
tax law, does that have to be a minute?
Right.
Where do we draw the line?
That's the debate.
Yeah.
And this paper leans towards the yes side.
Okay.
They argue that true games have this inherent playfulness,
Okay.
this challenge and reward system
Okay.
that keeps you hooked.
Okay.
Think objectives, difficulty levels,
Mm.
how the game reacts to your mistakes.
So it's not just about, like, shoveling information at you. It's about giving you something to strive for,
Yes.
a sense of progression. You're learning, but it feels more like
Yes.
leveling up your character. almost.
Yes. Spot on. And that brings us to the most obvious cluster,
Okay.
but no less important, learning itself.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, that's what we're here for.
Right. But even then, there's a right way and a wrong way to go about it.
Right. Absolutely. You can't just slap some facts and figures onto a game and call it a day.
No.
The researchers looked at how well the learning objectives were actually integrated into the gameplay.
Okay.
Did it feel natural, woven into the experience, or like an afterthought?
Right.
Did the game actually test you on what you were supposed to be learning?
So it's got to be more than just fun.
Right.
It has to be effective. We want to walk away from these games with real skills
Yes.
or knowledge, not just a good time.
Right.
Speaking of, how did our 3 contenders measure up against these pillars?
Well, this is where it gets interesting. Okay. Touch surgery.
Yeah.
The one that seemed like a shoo-in just based on the name.
Yeah, virtual surgery.
Right.
Felt like a safe bet. What happened?
Turns out the researchers found it was more like a really fancy interactive textbook.
No way.
Mhm.
But surgery is right there in the name.
I know, it's a curveball.
Right.
It aced the user experience and learning aspects.
Okay.
Looked great, taught you stuff.
Okay.
But the play element,
Yeah.
seriously lacking.
Wow.
It missed those core game mechanics that make something truly addictive,
Yeah.
that make you want to keep playing to improve.
So it was informative, but not necessarily something you'd choose to play in your free time.
Right.
Which, let's be honest,
Right.
is a death knell for
Yeah.
any game,
Yeah.
educational or not.
100%. And that matters because if a game isn't engaging,
Right.
people won't stick with it.
Right.
Which brings us to our winners.
Drum roll, please. Who emerged victorious from the serious games arena?
Both Dr. Game Surgeon Trouble and Staying Alive passed with flying colors.
Yeah.
They were engaging, educational, and had those key game mechanics to keep players hooked.
Wow. So the candy-crushing surgeons
I know.
and the high-pressure CPR simulator both made the cut. I got to admit, I'm a little surprised the combo in Dr. Game Surgeon Trouble works so well.
Right.
But hey, that's why we deep dive.
There you go.
To uncover these unexpected gems.
Exactly. And it just goes to show that you can make learning fun and effective at the same time,
Right.
even for something as serious as, well, surgery
Yeah.
or saving a life.
Right. So besides blowing my mind with the fact that a game called Dr. Game Surgeon Trouble is out there, what's the big takeaway here? So
Yeah.
besides blowing my mind with the fact that a game called Dr. Game Surgeon Trouble is out there, what's the big takeaway here?
Good design is crucial. You could have the most amazing educational content in the world.
Right.
But if it's trapped inside a clunky
Yeah.
or boring game,
Right.
people aren't going to engage with it.
Right.
And with serious games, engagement is everything.
Right. Because it's not just about entertainment, right?
All right.
It's about giving people real-world skills.
Yes.
Whether it's a surgeon learning to handle pressure or someone mastering CPR,
Mhm.
these games have the potential to make a real difference.
Absolutely. And the researchers are very clear that this is just the tip of the iceberg.
Right.
There's still so much we don't know about what makes a serious game truly effective.
Yeah.
But by laying out these criteria, they've given us a framework
Right.
to start evaluating and designing these games in a way that's both fun and impactful.
Yeah. It really gets you thinking about all the fields this could revolutionize.
Right.
What about a serious game for learning a new language
Yes.
or for coding?
Absolutely.
The possibilities are kind of endless.
Endless. Exactly.
Yeah, and that's what's so exciting about this field.
Mm-hmm.
We're just scratching the surface
Yeah.
of what serious games can achieve.
Well, I agree.
It's like we're on the verge of a whole new era of learning.
All right.
Forget dusty textbooks
Please.
and boring lectures.
Yeah.
The future of education could be a giant, interactive, ridiculously fun video game.
I think we can all get behind that.
I know, right?
Mm.
And on that note, I have one last thought for you before
Good.
we wrap up.
Right.
This study focused on medical games, but it got me thinking.
Yeah.
If you could design the perfect serious game
Yes.
for your field, what would it be? What would it teach, and how would you make it so engaging that people can't put it down? Hit us up on social media and let us know your ideas. We might even feature some of the best ones in a future episode. Until then, happy gaming, everyone. And remember, just because it's serious doesn't mean it can't be fun.